Hi there again. So today we are looking at the subject of grace, and we are drawing a rose that represents grace in its name. So I've decided to work in watercolours today. This palette of watercolours is just generally a tin that I put all my different watercolour colours in one place. They're half pans and they're just glued in with hot glue, and then the lid's a mixing palette. And I wanted to find a purple and a green, so I've pre-wet my watercolours with a spray bottle. Now if you're using tubed watercolours, you can just squeeze a little bit onto your mixing palette and mix, but here these are solid watercolours, so you just need to watercolour pans rather, so you need to pre-wet them. So I'm trying out my greens, so I kind of wanted a muted green with quite a deep purple is what I was looking for. So I've grabbed a piece of kitchen roll to wipe my brushes off on. I've got a couple of tubs of water. I'm just cleaning my brush out from the mixing to make sure there's nothing actually in the hairs of the brushes. And I've got the design taped onto the desk, traceable, but on top I've put a piece of deli paper, so it's the paper they use to wrap sandwiches in. The page where I'm going to put it's got a little bit of shadow in through, so I decided to work on deli paper. The only problem with deli paper is it's shiny on one side and I paint on the other side, and it doesn't quite let the watercolour flow. You could paint directly onto your paper and use a similar technique by putting the picture underneath. So I'm just painting over the top of all the purple, not worrying about darks and lights, because as I say, on the deli paper I'm not going to get darks and lights. It's just a coverage that I'm looking for. So I finished the purple, and as you saw, some of the purple I had to do 2 coats on just to make it cover, and now I've got hold of my green, which I've picked quite a bright green on this one, and I'm just painting in the leaves. Again, I'll have to do a couple of coats on it just so that you can so that it covers rather. The advantage of not having an outline is when you're painting you're quite free, and obviously you won't have an outline when you take it off the background, so it's really a nice way to work sometimes. So all the watercolour is dry now, and I've just grabbed a mixture of purples and greens in colour pencils. So I'm using my darkest purple to go around the edge of the petals to make them stand out from the rest. And now I'm shading in the darker areas of the flower. So now I'm working on the top flower again, doing the same thing, repeating the same process, going around all what would be the black lines with a dark coloured purple. I'm keeping my pencil crayon or coloured pencil really sharp. Mine are quite soft in nature, so you have to regularly sharpen them. And although the deli paper is taped down, I'm using my fingers to kind of stretch the deli paper to keep it in place. You can see there my non-dominant hand is just got my 2 fingers spread and it's keeping it nice and flat. So I'm now continuing to build up the shades of colour. So this time I'm adding some green onto the bottom flower, around the edges and just to the top bits of the leaf. So I've used the dark on the leaves in the curve of the leaf, and then I've just filled it in with a little bit of the lighter green, not my lightest green, but just to give it a bit more texture. And I'm kind of repeating the dark green on the top, highlighting around the edges, or outlining rather around the edges of the darker colour, and filling in any little veins that I've drawn. So I'm just adding lighter purple onto the flower in places, and again a little bit more dark green. So this is an alcohol marker. Obviously if you're doing it straight into your Bible, don't use alcohol markers straight into your Bible, because they will, I will guarantee, go through. But this is going to be stuck in, so it's not a problem. And I'm just writing the word grace. I'm using the lettering underneath, trying to make the thick bits on the lettering thick and the thin bits thin. So I've grabbed a white now, and I'm adding white highlights onto my flower in various places. So I've decided before I stick it that I'm going to grab my alcohol marker again and go around the outside. So I've grabbed a ruler, I'm using the chisel point of my alcohol marker, and the only problem with this is some of it goes underneath the ruler, and if you don't hold it right still and let it dry, it will drag. You can turn it over with a bevel underneath, but I don't find that hugely successful. Sorry about my head there. So each time I'm drawing a line, I'm drying it off with a hairdryer before I move the ruler to stop it all dragging. It does drag a little bit, but not a huge amount. Just to give it a little bit of a finishing edge, this is. So it's time to unpeel it from my worktop. So I'm just cutting around the purple now. I've not cut around the whole purple. I'm just want to leave a very fine purple edge. And I'm doing it by eye rather. But if you wanted to measure it, that's absolutely fine. And now I'm just using a Pritt stick or a glue stick of some description to glue it into my Bible. And there you can see on my Bible the shadowing from the other page, hence that I didn't colour straight into my Bible. So you may have noticed there as I glued it, I smoothed down from the bottom up to make sure I don't have any crinkles in it. And you can see the purple has formed a nice border. And I've just noticed as I've looked at it that I just wanted to put a little bit more of the purple into the actual petals.